when you are meeting with a kid and with their families, is there kind of a certain like threshold for anxiety that like is when you know that a student or family should be seeking help, or like what might be some like behavioral or like some behavioral and emotional indicators that professional help might be needed and that maybe they should be coming in for some CBTeam time?
Yeah. You want to go for it?
Yeah. So it can show up in a number of ways. I think, kind of going back to what we were saying, like there is a healthy level of anxiety, right? Like there's a level of anxiety and stress that we need to keep us safe, to make sure we're on task every day. But when we see kind of like that over the hump, like where it's starting to, kind of weed into the clinical
Right.
level of symptomology, it could be a lot of kids are very insightful, right? Like a lot of kids can verbalize to you like that they're feeling worried, that they're feeling scared to go somewhere that maybe they hadn't before. But we also see a lot of physiological symptoms. So kids that are complaining a lot about like somatic symptoms, right? Like stomach ache, headache, they're too tired, right? Like their sleep patterns are disrupted. That's can be a sign of something going on, right? Like especially when we think about kids with ADHD or more of that, kind of inattention presentation, like we see a lot of exhaustion in those kids because they're constantly trying to kind of keep up with their peers and, stay on track all day. Appetite is another one that we see, if there's an increase in appetite, a decrease in appetite, that can be indicative of, something else going on. Emotional regulation, right? Like we often have parents come in saying like, it's like they go from 0 to 60, right? Like they cry at the drop of a hat. They can't seem to collect themselves after being upset. And like those are all kind of warning signs on our end of something that might need some intervention.
Yeah, just to echo what Teresa said, I think she nailed it, right? Like in terms of it's pretty rare that someone's saying, hey, mom, dad, I'm struggling with too much anxiety. I need help. Like that happens, but usually not. It's more noticing the changes in the appetite, the sleep, right? The somatic symptoms, like she was saying. I love the 0 to 60 reference because if you suppress emotions, if a kid's overwhelmed and they're just kind of like pushing down, I'm fine, everything's fine. It's kind of like shaking up a can of soda, right? And the moment it cracks, the moment anything gets in there that's overwhelms them a little bit, you get this explosion. So it's really indicative of like, whoa, like that was a huge reaction. It's probably nothing really about what just happened. It's more about all the emotions this kid is sitting with and struggling with.
Right. It's like, what was that last thing that just like, punctured the can rather?
Yeah. So that the burnout, the mood symptoms, like, what's the point? I can't do this anymore. Like we can all white knuckle for a while, but then we run out of energy to do that. Right. And eventually you're just like, I'm done. So we get a lot of parents like they were a straight A student and now they won't get out of bed.
Right.
We're going to probably say this a lot, like getting straight A's, academic performance isn't the only
indicative of mental health. Yeah.
Yeah.